Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jones Podcast. What's happening? I'm your host, Eric. The Jones Podcast is a podcast that acknowledges great individuals or couples who are entrepreneurs on the city council or who are just doing great things from our city of Tuscaloosa. Roll Tide. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the Jones Podcast. Good evening, Jones Podcast. I have a special guest with me today, Miss C.H. Williams, the author of Inside the Hole. Miss C.H. Williams, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome today. So how's your Sunday been so far?
My Sunday's been really quiet and relaxing, so it's been good. It was a good day of rest. How about yours?
Mine's the same way. Good day of rest. So when did you realize you wanted to become a writer?
I have been writing since I was a little girl, mainly poetry. Our mom was really big in the PTA, and sometimes when she would have programs, she would ask me to write a poem for those programs, and so that's how it started. But I also was just a really big reader. So when I was growing up, I like to say the books were my best friends.
Okay.
So I think that my writing is just like an extension of the love of books that I have. And so over the years, I've written poetry. I wrote a children's book maybe about 10 years ago. And then a couple of years ago, I wrote my first novel. And so the second thing I've done is this collection of shorts called Inside the Hole.
So how long did it take you to write Inside the Hole?
Probably about 6 months. But the stories, now let me say this. The short story, Paige Peterson Left a Note, that's in the book, is an older short story. But the rest of them, GPU is another version of an older short story too. But the bulk of the book was about 6 months.
Yeah, I like the letter. That was the name.
Yeah, Paige Peterson.
Yeah, I really like that one. I really like that one a lot. I read that one. I read it, then I went back and read it over again. I really like that one a lot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love Paige, too.
Yeah.
It's so weird because as a writer, and people who I feel like everybody has a story to tell. So I think all of us are potential writers. Some people just have either the time or the wherewithal to put it down. But Paige is a story that I cried the whole time that I wrote it.
I believe it.
It was just so, yeah, it was just so, her character is just so heartbreaking that when the words were coming to me, because the characters speak and I just write down what's going on with them, she really was someone who is just wants to be human. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Just wants to be loved. She wants to be able to just be authentic. So writing about her was really tough, but it was really rewarding as well. So thank you for that. I love Paige too.
So when you're writing, is there a certain place that you go to get yourself together, or does it just come to you? Do you have a book for the notes that you write when it comes to you, or what?
The novel mail. What's weird about the way that I write is that I almost always have the title first. So anything that I write, the title will come to me. And for some people, what's important is they have a message they want to put out, or they have a plot that they want to see unfold. But again, for me, the thing that speaks to me the loudest is going to be the people. So I kind of formulate what happens around the character, and I just let that develop as natural as possible. And I've said this to other people, but sometimes when the characters are kind of unfolding, it's just as shocking to me, some of the things that they say and do, and I'm the person that's actually writing it. So I'm one of those writers that's really character-driven.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah. That's very understandable. Mm-hmm. I like that. I like that. That the character comes to you and you basically write down what the character's saying to you. Yeah. What the character's saying to me.
Yeah. Because I've been asked before also about whether or not there are parts of me in the books or in the stories. And it's a yes and a no, because I try to remove as much as ch from it as possible. Um, but I am drawn to brokenness for some reason, and just helping the characters hopefully find resolution. That's not what happens all the time, but I love a good happy ending.
Yeah. When you're writing, how does your schedule work?
Uh, Again, for me, when I wrote the novel, I was working a full-time job, and it was kind of on the bucket list of things for me to do. So I did something that's probably really crazy, and not everybody can or are willing to do, is that I quit my job. And I
Really?
decided that I did.
Wow.
I quit my job. Yeah, I quit my job because I decided that I had been saying to myself for years and years and years and years that I was going to write, and I never did. And part of that was just life, coming in. But I realized that if I was serious about this, that I really needed to take a shot and bet on myself. So I quit, and I started writing in March, and I fleshed it out, and I probably was finished with most of it by August, September, because I had just been sitting on it for years and years and years and years and years. So I took that time, and I've gone back to work, of course, but I took that time to just do that dream, to just give that to myself. So that's how I did the first novel. Now, of course, everyone can't do that, and it was just, the blessing of God and a lot of support from my family that allowed me to do it too. But now that I'm working, and again, for me, the writing comes like in bursts, because when I'm writing, I'm really devoted to it. So I'll do really good for months and months and months. And then it has to be the characters as well, because I've started books and stories and stopped because the characters stopped speaking to me. So it just will depend. I usually just write in like bursts of time, and then it may be months. Or I wrote the novel a couple of years ago, and I've started another one, but I haven't finished. So it just depends. Now, some writers see this as a job, and they get up every single day and they write. And I wish I had that discipline, but I don't have that yet. So I just let the creative kind of spirit come to me when it does.
Okay. When our books get published, what is that process?
Okay, so I'm independently published. So I use Kindle Direct Publishing, which is through Amazon, and they have a website that you can go and you can load up your manuscript. They allow you can pick the genres that you want your manuscript associated with, whether it's women's fiction or historical romance or whatever. And then you can set the pricing for how much you want to sell the novel for. They have like a range that they'll show you can price your book at this range, and these are the profits that you will get. So with independent publishing, and they of course take a percentage of that for cost. That is how I did it. Some writers, of course, will get agents who will sell for them, or they can go directly to a publishing company and get published that way, and send out query letters to see whether or not someone will pick them up. So I did that too. And got turned down quite a bit, which is disheartening. But I understand that's standard practice, though. Yeah. Almost all writers get turned down over and over again before they finally get someone to kind of believe in their work.
I always wonder why they turn people down so much.
I don't know for sure. I would say that money's involved, and then we now live in a really celebrity-driven and a social media world too, which is part of it. And so if you're not known, sometimes they don't want to risk. But I just believe strongly that a good story will always win out, and that for every writer there is an audience. But sometimes, taking on the risk of finding that audience is not something that publishing companies want to do. But I think everybody has a story, and all of us are potential writers. So if you can't get it the traditional way, then independent publishing is a route to go.
Is independent publishing a lot harder than other publishing?
Oh no. What now for this? For the website that I use, or the company that I use, Kindle Direct,
Hmm.
you upload your manuscript, and within 24 to 72 hours, it's ready for publishing.
Oh,
That's
wow.
how quick it is.
Wow.
Yes, that's how quick it is. So you just load it up. They also have an arm that could market it for you as well. Of course, you have to pay for that. But yeah, no, it's not. It's really easy. The thing is, um, which I ran into the first time that I put my novel up. I was just so excited to have written it, and I wanted to see it up. And I made a lot of editing mistakes, and I just apologized to the people who bought the book at first
Hmm.
because I was just so excited that I had written this book. But yeah, I would encourage people if they can. Editors can be expensive, but if you can get somebody to to edit it and look over your product, that's good. But you don't have to do any of that. All you have to do is upload your manuscript, and your book is available. But once you can upload in whatever form you want, and they'll format it to some degree for especially for the paperback edition. So, and they have parts in there where you can do the book cover and everything. So, if you're someone like me who did the whole thing, I did the back jacket, I wrote everything. So, if you are really serious about it, it is a great way to get your work out there.
So how did you come with the book inside the hole? How did you come up with the chapter titles?
So, the again, the writing process for me, revolves around kind of, the characters and their stories and being able to get out whatever their message is. So I lined up the stories. The first story in the book is called The Video,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a story in the age that we live, it's social media age, and I don't know why we don't understand that everything we do just about is caught on camera or caught on audio or some sort of way. So the video is about a high school football player who catches his coach saying something inappropriate, and it's really hurtful to him. And so that was my lead story because I thought it had kind of a universal appeal. And I'm not afraid of touching on things that may make some people uncomfortable or are difficult to talk about. So that story looks at race and kind of how,
The
even
world
though
is
we
now.
live, I know, right? That we, I promise you it is. But I mean, the idea that we can live in this world with people and we can work beside them and eat beside them and, cultivate these relationships. But do you really know who somebody is when they're not around you? And some of us are very good at acting.
Yeah.
So this young man has to confront his coach as a person that he doesn't know, and it's very heartbreaking for him. So I decided to put video first. It's one of the shorter stories in the book. So and the dialogue is just kind of real choppy, and it just goes really quick and to the point. And then the next story, of course, is Paige Peterson, which we talked about a little bit earlier, and she's writing notes to people in her life because she's contemplating whether or not her life has enough meaning for it to continue. So, and then I want to say Good Morning Beautiful comes up next.
Yes.
And Good Morning Beautiful is if you've been single anytime in the last 4 or 5 years, you might have gotten a text in the morning saying Good Morning Beautiful, and it's just a short story for females to look at the significance of that text and what it really means, because it may not mean what some people think it means.
And in my opinion, I think a lot of men need to read that too.
The Good Morning Beautiful?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. I would agree. Because I think, and I think from the standpoint of the female in the story that doesn't necessarily know, and I'm not saying that everybody that sends Good Morning Beautiful text is not sincere.
But
I'm just saying. Sometimes that good boy. The beautiful text is just a kind of it's really more of a group text.
Yeah.
You just don't know you're in the group.
Exactly.
Let me just say that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another one that caught my eye I really liked was Coffee Run.
Coffee Run. Oh, awesome.
Yes, that one did something to me right there.
Yeah.
I had to put the book down a little bit after I read that one.
Because I want this. All the stories are very different too. By the way, Coffee Run is one of the first ones I wrote as well, where it's a story. When I had a book signing back here about a month or so ago, my brother Philip was asking me about, do I ever write happy stories? And I do, because I do. But for me, for some reason, I'm attracted to like broken birds, and I just want, because sometimes the people in our lives and around us, and just the world in general, who have a lot of stuff going on internally, that their voices don't get to be told as much. And so everybody, whatever your background is, has something that shapes who you turn out to be. So Coffee Run is one of those stories where you have this lady who meets this man, and they fall in love, and she, has this background where she didn't necessarily have parents, and her mom was in prison, and she was attracted to this guy because he represented strength.
Mm-hmm.
And he breaks up with her. And because she believed him when he said that you won't be hurt anymore, I got you. That the betrayal of that is something that she has to decide whether or not he gets to live after he betrayed her. And again, it's wrong, of course, for her to be in that mindset. But I think that for her and for a lot of people, who you say all these things to me and then you change your mind. Like, how did you get to do that?
Yeah.
One of the lines in the story is, she gave him the only thing she ever owned, which was herself. Love would have dictated that he receive it.
And he betrayed her, and that was the last straw. Yeah.
Yeah, but the story is kind of...
But the way he did it was messed up.
All right, how so?
It's the way about the paying the rent and all that, and it was just messed up to me. In my opinion, it was messed up. He said she would stay there, then him and his mom talked, and it wouldn't feel right if she just stayed there without paying and helping his mom. I'm like, what? Who does that?
And and he knew her backstory too. I think that was a part of it too for her. Like, you knew that I didn't have anything when I met you,
and then yes, exactly.
And then you turn around, and then you're going to say to me, knowing my situation, that you have to come up and you got to do this. And so in her mind, it's like, I gave you everything that I had because I believe you, and then you turn around and decide that I'm not good enough, or you're going to move on to the next love of your life. But you understand that I'm an orphan out here. So what is the punishment for you? And of course, she doesn't have the right to make punishment. If he decides he doesn't want her, he has that right too. But I think for her, she just doesn't know how to process having to live through this abandonment again. So yeah.
When I read that chapter, I said, okay, yeah.
Oh, awesome.
That was a good one.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Do you have any more upcoming projects ahead?
I am, right now is one of those times where I'm not as creative, so I'm not actively writing right now. But I have kind of fleshed out a story about 5 sisters who are, and I haven't decided whether it's going to be a full-length novel. It's going to be a short story collection about them. It kind of is in the same vein as GPU in the book, which is kind of a story of a world that changes because of a revolution, which is kind of plays in line with kind of the times we're living in now.
Mm-hmm.
But they are going to be separated from their parents, and there is going to be a war that's coming, and they have to decide, or they have to survive. And so I'm still trying to flesh out kind of the details of that, but that's kind of what I've been working on kind of recently, because I have an excerpt from my second novel that I started on, A Whisper Song, in the back of the short story collection, and I still may finish that as well. But like I said, I'm one of those creatives that once a story catches fire with me, I can write for 2 months straight, and then flesh out everything. And then if the characters are no longer kind of pushing me in that direction and something else pops up, I go to that. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but I don't necessarily see it as a job, even though my dream would be to be paid to do this for real.
Yeah, exactly.
But that would be the dream. So if that's ever the case, that would be awesome. But for right now, it's kind of, it probably would still be the same. It would just have to be the characters, or the story is just pouring out, and I have to just put it down.
Well, before we get out of here, Ms. Williams, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to or promote anything of yours coming up?
Oh, absolutely. Both of the books are on Amazon. You can download them onto your devices, or you can order the paperback version. So it's C.H. Williams, Amazon. The novel is called Mail, and the short story collection is called Inside the Hole. So you can go purchase them, again, at Amazon. I would like to definitely say thank you to my parents, or our parents, because I have siblings, Lois and James Howard, who have been just instrumental in being just backbones for all of us, and with their support and love, everything has been made possible in my life. I would like to shout out my sons, Nick and Chris. Both of the books are dedicated to Nick and Chris. The novel is dedicated to my parents as well. And just my family as a whole has been really great and amazing to me. And so I always like to give honor to the people in my life who have just been there for me, and that's been my siblings, my sons, and my parents. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, that's no problem. I couldn't wait to get you on. I couldn't wait, especially after I read the book. I was like, oh, yeah, I got to get her on here. I got to get her on here.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for coming on, and we're going to, next time you write a book, hey, I'm the man. Give it to me. I'm reading. I'm going to put you on so you can promote it, and we're going to make this thing work. And I'm so proud of you that you had the nerve to quit your job to write your book to pursue your dream. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people wouldn't have the nerve to do that.
It's true. But you know what allowed that really quickly? What allowed that really quickly was my sister, agreed for me to stay with her. My brother, Philip, read the book for me, and kind of, again, I cannot just say enough about having a good support system of people who will just be there for you. And then vice versa, once you can get to a space where you can, pay it forward to someone else, it's just super important. So I just thank you, the Jones Podcast, for having me on, and many blessings to your ventures as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming on.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you for listening to the Jones Podcast. You can find us on iTunes or Google Play or wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the Jones Podcast.